What's up, guys? Ron Harris here. Thanks for joining me. I promise this will be the last time I talk about Giles and Martin Fitzwater. I know it's been done to death. I'm sick of talking about it, hearing about it, but I did want to clear up one thing because when Martin came at Giles, and do I have to show that again? I guess I do. This is what Martin said when he rushed the pay-per-view commentary table in Prague. Here it is.
Want to talk shit about me, do it to my face.
Okay, so talk shit. I wanted to go back and look. I don't have the actual pay-per-view footage, but I do have Giles's responses to me because we did a wrap-up video after the judging on day one of Prague, and then I spoke to him the next day after the finals. So I want to play those two clips so you can hear exactly what Giles said. Here's what Giles said as I got him right after the judging was done on day one of the 2024 EVLS Prague Pro. Take a listen.
So I'll go in a few minutes.
So you're saying you could see this going Chris Bumstead first?
Yes, 100%. He's won it straight first. I predict he's won it straight first.
Wow. Okay, because the whole time I'm thinking Martin's got so much more size on him.
He does. He does.
I did have Chris winning some poses, but being bodybuilding purists, a bodybuilding purist, I thought the size and density that Martin has would just overpower him. But you're saying, and I trust
Martin's off. His midsection doesn't look right, and I'd like to see more conditioning and detail in his back.
Wow. So you think Martin could be third? It's possible.
I don't know. Okay, if I'm being realistic, I think Martin's going to get second.
Yeah.
Clarida, I'd like to see get third, but I think Holweck's got fourth. But they gave him a chance. They really gave him a chance, and I'm telling you what, he looked good next to Clarida and really good next to Martin.
Huh.
So, but I mean that second, third, fourth could maybe go any way. So don't be shocked if that. Obviously that was a semi-final. That was a pre-judging. So
right.
Tomorrow it could go other ways. You know.
Yeah, because Martin needs to tighten up a little bit. This is not the Martin that we saw 5 weeks ago. But
what Chris Cormier said last night, he says, guys, you can't peak twice like that just in a number of weeks. He's been straight on the prep. He hasn't hasn't come off his prep. He said the body doesn't peak like that. He said, I'm telling you, Martin won't be on like he was at Olympia. And I said in the live stream, I said, Martin, straight away, I said Martin was better at Olympia.
Yeah, I mean, look, I'm looking at the Olympia right here, and he was
not the same guy.
Yeah, definitely. He's definitely off condition-wise. Like you made reference to the tan. His tan does not look that good, very good today. It's not doing me a favor.
Do you know what? I didn't even spot that, but you're right. You're bang on, mate.
Yeah, I mean, whoever tanned him at the Olympia did a much better job. No offense.
Yes, yeah. No, I totally agree. Oh, there's Ronnie over there. There's Ronnie, Lauren, and Chris.
Okay, so that was Giles' analysis after judging. He did have Chris Bumstead winning. The score sheets indicated that the judges never had Bumstead winning remotely. They had straight first places for Martin, even though, as I've shown this footage several times, Martin, when he's 100% on, he is damn good. He might win this next Arnold Classic. Both Giles and I felt he deserved to be a slot higher at both the 2024 and 2025 Mr. Olympia contest than he was. See, we had him higher than he placed at those two shows, but you don't hear about that. We're looking at 2024 Prague. Glutes, you can see how much softer his glutes were last year. This was day one. His tan was awful. He was holding a bunch of water. His stomach was popping out. It's because he had pulled his hamstring during the call-outs. He was in rough shape. And it doesn't matter, judges don't care, but they still had him in first. But let's take a look at what Giles said after the fact. After the show was all done the next day, I did get Giles on immediately. Again, as soon as the finals wrapped up, he was kind enough to talk to me. Here's what Giles...
Yeah, he got a little bit of a tear in his hamstring there. But, he obviously... It didn't affect him too much because he obviously won the show. But he definitely looks a little bit better today.
Yeah.
But I thought Bumstead had this in the bag, to be honest, mate.
Yeah, I mean, there are a lot of very upset people. I don't, because yesterday he was beating him, but even if Martin legitimately did deserve to beat him, and
Yeah.
Tyler wasn't there, right? So we're not going to get a Tyler video on this.
Steve Weinberger.
Steve might do a video, I don't know, but he had his reasons. Steve's the Mr. Olympia head judge. He's probably the most experienced judge in the world.
Mm-hmm.
He went with the more muscularity. In your mind, how did Martin beat Chris tonight?
I don't know. Well, I was going pose for pose. In front of bicep, I had Chris. Front lat spread, I had Chris. Side chest, I had Chris. Side tricep, I had Martin. The rear shots is difficult because Martin's like twice as thick, but Chris has got so much better quality conditioning and separation. I still kind of gave the back shots to Chris. I did, and I mean, AJ was like, "Oh no, the back shots to Martin." I'm not going to argue with that because I get why. But if you go pose for pose, and I was talking to Mauro Sassin, he was saying that the ab and thigh, you've got to give it to Martin because Chris was hitting it like as a vacuum. He wasn't hitting a proper ab shot, so you can kind of forfeit that one to Martin. The most muscular, I thought Chris. So if you want to look at it overall, I think Chris won more poses. But who'd have thought a classic guy next to like one of the thickest bodybuilders in the open would even come close? But I tell you what, I was so happy for Sean Corrida. And Sean Corida was only 178 tonight,
What's that, 178? Oh, you got his weight.
I asked him backstage, I said, "What are you weighing, man?"
Okay, so there you have everything Giles said. Did he talk shit? I guess talking shit's a matter of opinion. Let me know in the comments of the chat. We're live right now. Was he talking shit? He gave his opinion. He wasn't being disrespectful. I didn't feel toward Martin in any way. He was calling it like I say, like he saw it. Martin's condition was not that great at the 2024 Prague, not the way it had been at the Olympia a few weeks before that, and certainly not the way it was this Prague Pro that he just won recently. Spectacular, the best I've ever seen, Martin. Let's get to what you guys have to say. Still nothing from Martin. No. Yeah, the thing is, the reason I was hoping to hear something from Martin, not necessarily an apology. I don't expect an apology toward Giles. It'd be nice. I don't expect it. But Brett Wilkin in a comment on an Instagram post about this, because Muscle Discord Matt made an Instagram post, and Brett said, there's more to it, but I'm not going to speak for Martin. So I've been waiting and waiting for Martin to say anything. Now, he blocked me on Instagram, but I can still see it through other people's phones that he hasn't blocked yet. Haven't seen one word about anything else that Giles said that was quote unquote talking shit. Nothing. And I'm ready to listen. If there are other things that Giles said that I'm not aware of, even though I'm Giles's friend, Giles and I hold each other accountable to things. We're not above, each other's bullshit. We'll say something. So good morning. What's up, Ricky? It's likely due to politics and Martin got the nod over Chris. I don't know. I'm not gonna go there. I will play the judging again, some judging footage. This was last year. So, I mean, like I said, Bumstead looked phenomenal. Martin, much thicker. There's no question, obviously. He's got a lot more muscle mass and density than Bumstead. But Bumstead's condition was bang on. His color was bang on. Obviously, he's got beautiful shape and symmetry. It was a close call. Bumstead almost had him. And I don't think there would have been too many complaints if Bumstead won. But, we weren't crying about it. We weren't saying, oh, no, Chris got robbed. I mean, we were never doing that. People in the comments were. We were never doing it. It's also person's right to respond. Well, you can respond, but you can respond in a respectful way. You don't have to get in someone's face and scream at them for having an opinion that, maybe you weren't the rightful winner. Like I said, we heard nothing from him when we said he should have placed higher than he did, which, you'd think he'd be happy about that. We both had him third place, beating Derek Lunsford at the 2024 Olympia. I had him fourth place instead of fifth at this last Olympia, as did Giles, beating Sampson. We felt he deserved to beat Sampson this year at the Olympia, and he deserved to beat Derek last year. But last year at the Prague show, it was not the same Martin. Martin was not unbeatable there. It was not the Martin that we just saw, not by a long shot. Being angry about his immature little Martin dares that Bob had him losing. Well, I'll tell you, he never would have done that to. He never would. Weinberger's at the next table with the judges. If Weinberger had said something about well, what's he going to say? Weinberger was the head judge and he had winning. But I'm just saying he wouldn't have rushed up to run up to Weinberger and got in his face and yelled at him because there would have been consequences. He knew he could do it to Giles what's the worst can happen? Giles is going to be upset about it. There's going to be no repercussions, no disciplining, nothing like that. He could get away with it. He knew if he had gone to someone like a Tyler Mannion or a Steve Weinberger and did something like that, he'd be screwed. He'd be in trouble. So let's see. We need clear delineation between comments for someone paid to commentate and keyboard warriors. Yeah, Giles was not someone who was a troll on Instagram or on a YouTube comment saying, "You suck, Martin, you suck." And Martin, Giles has said many, many complimentary things. When Martin is on, when any athlete is on, he gives him credit, as do I. None of this has tarnished the way we feel about Martin's physique. Martin looked phenomenal at the Olympia. He looked even better at this Prague show a couple weeks ago. Even though I don't agree with how he treated my friend Giles, who I've known for years and years and have the utmost respect for, I still don't hold it against. I don't let that color the way I discuss his physique. His physique looked incredible. The personality, I have an issue with that. The way he handled that, the way he went up to Giles, just don't feel it was respectful. People asking for an apology or soft. It's fine. You can feel that way. You can feel however you want. If someone ever does you wrong, I guess you won't want an apology from them. It wasn't even bones to properly prep for open. Well, he didn't. No, he just filled out a little bit. He was only a few pounds heavier. I think it was like 7 pounds heavier than he had been at the Olympia. He said, she said, Zarella Martin intentionally applied force. Giles said, neither Giles or I is pushing that assault narrative because he touched his phone. Giles doesn't have an issue. That's fine, but he did rush at him. And this whole thing about Giles having faking a heart injury or heart condition, he didn't fake. He had a heart attack on stage at a pro show in Ireland in 2023. While he was at the podium emceeing, he had to stop emceeing, go backstage, and they called an ambulance for him. And the troponin levels were super high. They said it was one of the highest troponin levels. So it was a massive heart attack. Could have died. He had a triple bypass surgery, which is these, not one blockage of the major arteries, but 3 that they had to unblock and put stents in. He's got a scar, from the bottom of his throat all the way down below his sternum. He's got a huge scar, and he does have to be careful with his heart. And getting too excited or too upset, adrenaline can mess with his heart, and he can get an arrhythmia, and he could have another heart attack. The issue is mainly hormones. Well, all the guys are on hormones. When you're in prep, contest day is probably the absolute worst you'll feel, both psychologically and physically. You've been dieting and doing all the cardio. You're on so many different compounds, so many different PEDs for a contest. Off season, you can get away with a 2, 3, 4, whatever. A lot in the old days, guys would just do test and DECA, maybe throw in a little D-ball. Now it's a whole laundry list of things that can mess with your psychology, your emotions, make you angry, make you depressed, all kinds of. Those of you who competed know exactly what I'm talking about. Starting to become a bit of a Martin fan. Surely you think Martin would know this is going to troll, seeing how fragile his ego is. Well, he blocked me finally. It took him, surprised it took him this long, I guess, to block me, but now he associates me with Giles and a couple other people that are coached by Boss. I think they've gotten the memo not to talk to me, but they haven't all blocked me yet. Move on, drama. Yeah, this is the very last video, the very last time we're talking about this. I just want to get the footage on there that showed what Giles said. Giles talked down Martin, should be more professional. Yeah, he's talking about your physique, and I understand it's hard to differentiate and compartmentalize. This is me, the person, the human being, and this is me, the physique that people are talking about. A lot of times it's intertwined. You can't really criticize someone's physique without them taking it deeply personally. I understand that. But Giles was being paid to be there at the show to commentate. The promoters fly him over every year. They appreciate him. They like what he brings to the pay-per-view commentary. A lot of the pay-per-views, the live streams don't have any commentary, but it does add an extra level, I think. If you watch like the Olympia and you hear Phil Heath, Sean Ray, the experts, Tim Wilkinson, they do add another level of, it's just like watching a football game on TV. You could watch it with the sound off and you'd still see everything that was going on. But they do have analysts in the booth commentating, doing the play-by-plays, color commentary, talking about it, because people like to hear your former greats and people who have been covering pro football games for decades. They like to hear them break down the plays and the players and how they're playing, how the game's going. it's entertaining because it makes it more exciting for them. And the promoters do feel that Giles brings something extra to the pay-per-views, or else they wouldn't bring him over. They wouldn't fly him over and pay him to do these. What would Jesus do or Jay do? Surely not this. Didn't really follow this whole talk, to be honest. Is that serious? I mean, no, like I said, your mom's flip-flop. This is the last time I'm going to even address it. The last time. I'm going to play those clips one last time, and then I'll probably just take some comments and take off. But again, here's what Giles said about Martin and how he looked after the judging a year ago, a little over a year ago in Prague. Here it is.
So in a few minutes.
So you're saying you could see this going Chris Bumstead first?
Yes, 100%. He's won it straight first. I predict he's won it straight first.
Wow. Okay, because the whole time I'm thinking Martin's got so much more size on him.
He does.
I did have Chris winning some poses, but being bodybuilding purists, a bodybuilding purist, I thought the size and density that Martin has would just overpower him. But you're saying, and I trust
Martin's off. His midsection doesn't look right, and I'd like to see more conditioning and detail in his back.
Wow. So you think Martin could be third? You're thinking it's possible.
I don't know. Okay, if I'm being realistic, I think Martin's going to get second.
Yeah.
Carida, I'd like to see get third, but I think Holweck's got fourth. But they gave him a chance. They really gave him a chance, and I'm telling you what, he looked good next to Clarida and really good next to Martin. Huh. So, but I mean that second, third, fourth could maybe go any way. So don't be shocked if that obviously that was a semi-final, that was a pre-judging. So right. Tomorrow it could go other ways, you know.
Yeah, because Martin needs to tighten up a little bit. This is not the Martin that we saw 5 weeks ago. But
what Chris Cormier said last night, he says, guys, you can't peak twice like that just in a number of weeks. He's been straight on the prep. He hasn't hasn't come off his prep. He said the body doesn't peak like that. He said, I'm telling you, Martin won't be on like he was at Olympia. And I said in the live stream, I said Martin straight away. I said Martin was better at Olympia.
Yeah, I mean, look, I'm looking at the Olympia right here, and he was
not the same guy.
Yeah, definitely. He's definitely off condition-wise. Like you made reference to the tan. His tan does not look that good. Very good today. It's not doing me a favor.
Do you know what? I didn't even spot that, but you're right. You're bang on, mate.
Yeah, I mean, whoever tanned him at the Olympia did a much better job. No offense.
Yes, yeah. No, I totally agree. Oh, there's Ronnie over there. There's Ronnie, Lauren, and Chris.
Okay, before I get to the final comments, that was what Giles had to say about Martin after. Now, he was wrong. Scorecard did indicate Martin had straight first places based on this after the judging, which I wouldn't really agree with. I mean, Martin's much bigger than Bumstead, but this was the judging from day one. It was a 2-day show. As you can see, Martin's tan was off. His condition was off. He was holding a bunch of water. He was letting his stomach out. The glutes, which were shredded and strided to hell a couple weeks ago in Prague, here they were not. He was off. He was off here. So Bumstead was not. Bumstead looked pretty great. Clarida looked pretty good there too, right? So you can see why it was very close. Even though the scorecard said it wasn't close, I think it was much, much closer than Martin getting a perfect score. Here's what Giles had to say about the win, Martin's win. The next day, the day after it was all over, after the win, because, again, this was a 2-day show. So here we go, one last time.
So, yeah, he got a little bit of a tear in his hamstring there. But, he obviously, it didn't affect him too much because he obviously won the show. But he definitely looks a little bit better today.
Yeah.
But I thought Bumstead had this in the bag, to be honest, mate.
Yeah, I mean, there are a lot of very upset people. I don't, because yesterday he was beating him, but even if Martin legitimately did deserve to beat him, and Tyler wasn't there, right? So we're not going to get a Tyler video on this.
Steve Weinberger.
Steve might do a video. I don't know, but he had his reasons. Steve's the Mr. Olympia head judge. He's probably the most experienced judge in the world. Mm-hmm. He went with the more muscularity. In your mind, how did Martin beat Chris tonight?
I don't know. Well, I was going pose for pose. In frontal bicep, I had Chris. Front lat spread, I had Chris. Side chest, I had Chris. Side tricep, I had Martin. The rear shots is difficult because Martin's like twice as thick, but Chris has got so much better quality conditioning and separation. I still kind of gave the back shots to Chris. I did, and I mean, AJ was like, "Oh no, the back shots to Martin." I'm not going to argue with that because I get why. But if you go pose for pose, and I was talking to Mauro Sassin, he was saying that, the ab and thigh, you've got to give it to Martin because Chris was hitting it like as a vacuum. He wasn't hitting a proper ab shot. So you can kind of forfeit that one to Martin. The most muscular, I thought Chris. So if you want to look at it overall, I think Chris won more poses. But who'd have thought a classic guy next to like one of the thickest bodybuilders in the Open would even come close? But I tell you what, I was so happy for Sean Corrida. And Sean Corida was only 178 tonight,
What's that, 178? Oh, you got it. Okay. So, yeah, let me get to your comments. But I basically want to hear legitimately, do you consider what Giles was saying talking shit? Would you, if you were Martin, or say if you were pro and he said things like that about you, would you be upset and hold on to it for a whole year and then rush up to him and scream in his face the way Martin did during a pose down? Don't know. God of Frogs. He was born in 1889. He's very old, God of Frogs. There was no reason for Martin to come up aggressively to him. If he had such an issue, he could have had a friendly talk about it. Even if not a friendly, just a business tone. And he's had every opportunity, but he held on to it for a whole year. There's nothing disrespectful about Giles' commentary response to some period. I don't know why people make excuses for this. No, Martin hasn't said anything. And the reason I don't expect it. Giles did ask for an apology, and some people are like, that's a pussy move, asking for an apology. Whatever. You can have your own opinion about that, but I don't expect an apology. But I would like to know if Martin feels there was more to it. Was there more to Giles' shit talking than what we just heard? Did he hear that Giles was talking about him behind his back I don't know what it could possibly be, but I'm ready to hear it. Giles is ready to hear it. We're not above reproach. We hold ourselves accountable. When I make mistakes, which is all the time, that's why they call me Wrong Harris. I own up to it. I admit I was wrong. I say I'm sorry a lot of times because I have a lot of things to be sorry for. I F up constantly. It's proven Martin is a very immature individual right now. Won't be a good ambassador for sport. Again, to me, that has no bearing on his physique. I think he looked amazing in Prague when he won that. Here he is with Sampson. Yeah, I just want to show this real quick because he looked phenomenal at this show. There's no question in my mind. This was a great look. He looked better than he did at the Olympia, where he took 5th and Sampson had been 4th. I had him beating Sampson at the Olympia, and here he went, and it was just undisputable. They had to give it to him here. He was just that much better than Sampson here. Condition was just bang on. The color was perfect. Everything. So I had no issues with Martin physique. I don't like the way he handled himself there with Giles, obviously, because I'm very biased. I'm a good friend of Giles. We're the last of the Mohicans. There aren't many journalists left, people that used to write for the magazines, because there are no magazines anymore. Anyway, mature ambassador, professional bodybuilder. Well, Fouad says that professional bodybuilders are not professionals. He did make that excuse for Martin, that they don't have to handle themselves professionally because they're not professionals, even though they are professional athletes technically because they compete for cash. So that does make you a pro athlete, whether you like it or not. Martin is greasy waterproof. I like Jonathan. For what I've seen, his predictions are meh. They're spot on sometimes, usually pretty often not accurate because this Martin freaked out. Well, it wasn't really prediction. I mean, he was based. Predictions are when we talk about a show, like say we're talking in a few days about the Japan Pro that's coming up next week. We're just making predictions based on how these guys have done and looked in the past. This wasn't really a prediction. It was an assessment of how he looked at the show. Why is Tyler Mannion? Okay, I guess I wasn't going to go there. So Tyler is on the road all the time. He's basically devoted his entire life to this sport. He's head judging every weekend somewhere. He's always on the road. The only people he's ever around are competitors. Other judges and competitors. I think that's the only social network that Tyler has, because his job is so demanding. So, of course, he's going to date from within that pool. However, he doesn't date active competitors. He certainly wouldn't date someone that was going to be judging on stage. That would be a massive conflict of interest. He has not done anything like that. I don't understand how some athletes can take stuff like it so personally. Yeah, it's hard to, like others have tried to stick up for Martin. And trust me, I get it. When you put this much time and effort into your body, years of training, hard training, dieting, depriving yourself of the food you want to eat, sleeping like shit, taking years off your life with all these PEDs, it's a big sacrifice. You put a lot into that physique. I totally understand when someone says something about your physique, you take it personally. It's hard not to, even for us, who we don't make a dime off our physiques. All of us watching this, most of us here, you're all bodybuilders. Someone says, "Oh, your arms suck, or your legs suck, or you're fat, or your waist is blocky." It hurts. It hurts. It does. The delivery does matter, because sometimes people say it in a really mean way, or a way that they're just, you could tell they're just trying to put you down. They're just trying to make you feel bad. They want you to feel badly. When Giles and I, when we make critiques about physiques, we're not doing it that way. We're never trying to bring someone down or knock them down. Usually, almost all the time, it's constructive criticism. Condition could be better. Well, then they come back with better condition next time and they win. This or that body part could be better. Go work on it. I mean, I've had a ton of people, and so has Giles, say, "You know what you said about my physique at this show, it pissed me off, but I went back to the gym. I went back to the drawing board. I made the improvements, and now I'm winning. So thank you. You were right. I didn't want to hear it at the time." And that's the thing is, a good critic isn't just criticizing to be a jerk or just for criticism's sake. It's constructive, because these guys are all great athletes. They're all great bodybuilders. But what makes somebody the winner at a show versus someone who's second place, third place, or last place? There are levels to this. Martin leaks water, baby bullgut. Well, no, I mean, he looked awesome at this last show. Don't get that twisted. He looked great at this Prague show. Low IQ, doesn't think things through. I don't know how intelligent he is. I have no idea. Like Giles said, it was untrue. Remember, Martin did the same thing with Andrew Jack, being true racist. All I remember is he called Andrew a bag of chocolate milk or something like that, from what I recall, which I guess you could consider that racist. I mean, I've heard much more racist statements out of people's mouths. I'd love to hear Martin's perspective too. I really would. I'm not kidding. I'm not being sarcastic or wise ass. I would like to hear it. He's never going to give an interview. I know that. He's already blocked me on Instagram. He'll never talk to me again because I'm Giles's friend, and he'll never talk to Giles again. What was on all those drugs he was arrested for? Cocaine, Valium, Xanax. I don't know about all the drugs he was arrested for. I heard like fentanyl, and I've never repeated any of that. It's been all over comments and social media posts and things like that, but I've never repeated that, because whatever issues he had with recreational drugs or being arrested or whatever, I'm talking about physiques. I'm not talking about their personal life, their love life, none of that stuff. Obviously, if there's a big court case and it's in the news, we talk about that. But other than that, I leave it alone. It's got no bearing on the physiques. Giles says it was a professional. He only says opinion respectfully. That's obviously how I feel. Obviously, I'm on Giles' side. I'm not even trying to say I'm neutral on this. I'm not neutral. I'm on Giles' side. Pretty ass move from Martin. I guess we'll see where it goes. People are soft nowadays. Maybe it's emotions and what goes on prep. Yeah, you're definitely much more emotional during prep. The rehash Giles showing becoming like muscle discord. Well, Jaime Gonzalez Duran. I did say at the beginning of this is the very last time, and the only reason I made this was because my Facebook memories, the video that I made with Giles, the videos I made last year right after Prague popped up, and I said, let me listen to what Giles said and see, was he talking shit? That's forward. No, I don't think he does. I don't think he does. I expect all commentators like him. Physique, Nick got much worse comment than Martin needed to act that way, even Bob. Yeah, I mean, Bob said, I'm going to announce you in 8th place at the Olympia, and Nick rolled with it. He made T-shirts. Who the F is Bob? He has a sense of humor. Saying Martin's approach should act like, can you imagine Jordan East looking like this? No, I can't imagine Ronnie or Lee Haney or Dorian or Jay or even Phil Heath reacting like that. Or just hates bodybuilding commentators in general. Like, yeah, I mean, I've heard that people have said if they say anything just what he feels is critical on his Instagram, he immediately blocks them. Immediately. Does not like criticism. A lot of people, Hercules had C-Bum winning. A lot of people take critique in a good way and try to improve what he messed up, what's lacking. Yeah, he did. He fixed the tan and the condition, which was really just water. Martin fixed both of those things for the second day. It wasn't because Giles pointed out. Everyone saw what was going on with his physique that first day. Let's See them winning. They would take critique in a good way. Giles just media guys. Giles report what he sees in front of him. I think maybe eventually Giles will get an apology. I don't think he'll get. I don't expect an apology, but I just would like to hear his rationale. What was going through Martin's mind? I would just like to hear why he did that. Why he felt he was justified in rushing up to Giles during the pose down and saying, "Next time you want to talk shit about me, say it to my face." Big egos go hand in hand with bodybuilding. Well, big egos / insecurity. It's a lot of people with deep-seated insecurities that sort of mask that with this false bravado or ego. Yeah. Damn, Ron, who hasn't blocked you? I don't know anyone else has blocked me. I don't know why they would block me. What did I do? The story's been completely overblown. Yeah, this is the end of it, boss. This is the very end of it. I'm never mentioning this again. Tap the phone, ask them, and talk shit. Bunch of fucking fairies, man. Well, that's the question, Veer Lauren. Was he talking shit when he was pointing out what were the issues with his physique, which he was paid to do? I don't pay him to talk on my YouTube channel, but he was being paid as a commentator by the promoters to talk about what he saw in front of him. Martin told Nick he looked fat on stage at Pittsburgh. Exactly. Proves the point. Bunch of soft guys. Peace out. Have a good rest of your day. It's actually nighttime over there for you. It's just emotions. Definitely wouldn't say rush up to dudes on plenty of gear. I think most people that would shit in their system would do the same. Martin is Will Smith. Keep my name out your mouth. And he slapped poor Chris Rock. Oh, boy. All right. So, yeah, I'm not going to belabor this. I'm not going to drag this out anymore. That was it. I just wanted to put out there what Giles actually said a year ago to see what Martin has been fuming and percolating over for over a year, that he felt the need to come up and say, don't talk, talk shit about, next time you talk shit about me, do it to my face. So I want to hear in the comments, guys, was Giles talking shit? Was Martin out of line? Was Giles out of line? Just let me know what you guys think. Your opinion matters. You're the people that make this sport. Without the fans, there is no sport. And of course, without the viewers, I have no YouTube channel. So appreciate all you guys. Thanks for watching. See you later.